Subsequent to being found in Curtis' house and denying having any sort of relationship with him, both Sophie and Curtis are brought to the police headquarters for addressing. Sophie currently sits before analyst Luca and Roshan. What's more is being gotten some information about her relationship with Curtis. She at last concedes that she had an unsanctioned romance with him a half-year prior. Her justification for visiting Curtis was to be aware without a doubt whether he killed her significant other. Sophie likewise uncovers that she started the relationship with Curtis. Furthermore, finished it since he had begun to fall head over heels for her. Before she leaves, Roshan tells her that assuming Curtis is actually the offender, she should affirm about her relationship openly. Sophie then gets back to Paya, who illuminates her that Scratch's work environment has coordinated a remembrance for him the next day. The following morning, everybody is in the lounge room when Ethan sees the video of Curtis being captured. Sophie attempts to prevent them from watching it, yet Paya demands they do. Ethan perceives Curtis as his teacher, however is confounded why he would be captured. Paya understands that Curtis' capture has something to do with Sophie. She approaches her and inquires as to whether she was at the police headquarters the previous evening. It is at long last uncovered to Paya that Curtis and Sophie were having an unsanctioned romance. A maddened Paya reminds Sophie that assuming Curtis is the person who killed Scratch, it will be in every way her shortcoming. As Paya barges out of the room, we see Ethan has been paying attention to their discussion from the beginning. Without saying anything, he takes his skateboard and goes out, despite Sophie requesting that he remain at home. She goes out to search for him, yet is mobbed by the journalists once more. She some way or another figures out how to move beyond them and goes to the recreation area he generally skateboards in. Sophie doesn't track down Ethan there, however she sees a lady close by watching her. She had seen her before at their home also. Sophie calls the lady out for following her. The apprehensive woman presents herself as Emma Beasley. To Sophie's incredulity, she professes to have been dating Scratch before his demise. Emma makes sense of that she is from Leh, where Scratch used to habitually travel. They met on a dating application called Too Smitten, where Scratch went by the name Danny Walters. Sophie doesn't get involved with the lady's baloney from the get-go, however starts to accept her when she specifies they began talking in spring. Around the time Scratch learned about Sophie undermining him, she reviles at Emma, gets inside her vehicle, and stalls crying. Paya calls her, illuminating her that they have tracked down Ethan. Sophie goes to them and requests that Ethan get back home with her. She likewise informs Paya concerning her experience with Emma. Paya searches for the Too Smitten application on her telephone and tracks down a deactivated profile by the name Danny Walters. She guarantees Sophie that she will see whether Emma's story is valid. Then, at that point, Paya reaches her PC virtuoso companion, Vince, and gets some information about Danny Walters. Afterward, the network programs the fresh insight about Curtis being captured. Individuals begin to scheme about Curtis' relationship with Sophie, and bits of hearsay about their undertaking begin going around. Sophie requests that her family switch the television off and leave for Scratch's work environment for the commemoration. There, Sophie is moved toward by one of Scratch's understudies, Jenny, who dubiously tells her that Scratch was near a young lady in the b-ball group before Matt mediates and removes Sophie. The remembrance starts and Matt gives a discourse. Sophie gets overpowered and leaves. On out, a lady affronts her, subsequent in Sophie tossing a glass of water in front of her. She quickly thinks twice about it and cries as the others escort her out. Around evening time, Paya shows her the photos from Danny's deactivated profile and affirms that it was, as a matter of fact, Scratch's. He had been undermining Sophie for a long time. A devastated Sophie cries while holding her significant other's image. In the accompanying scene, we are shown Emma and Scratch together on a bed. Only a couple of days before his vanishing, she got blossoms and inflatables from Scratch while at work. The day he vanished, she found out while she was at the rec center. Emma definitely realized Scratch was hitched, however he had vowed to separate from Sophie after Ethan graduated secondary school. Emma followed Scratch's case intently and needed to associate with individuals he knew to lament his demise, so she traveled to Oakland. Peculiarly, however, she professed to be Scratch's life partner to get a deprivation rebate for the flight. That day, when she met Sophie, she had come to her home to enlighten her regarding the issue. While holding up external Sophie's home, a correspondent named Ben Park gives her his card, expecting she is a journalist too. After her experience with Sophie, Emma returns to her lodging and fantasizes that Scratch is sitting adjacent to her on the bed. Emma is by all accounts flying off the handle over him. The following day, she meets analyst Roshan and educates him anything that she knows concerning Scratch in order to help the case. She then goes to Scratch's work and ends up gathering Matt. She lets him know she is only one of Scratch's companions. From that point onward, Emma slips into Scratch's office and is tracked down by his colleague Sunrise. First Light makes the lady leave, and simultaneously, Pia shows up at the spot. She meets Matt and inquires as to whether he had some awareness of Scratch's issue, since he went with Scratch on his late trips a few times. In any case, Matt appears to know essentially nothing about the Have Any Meaning. In the meantime, at home, Sophie is taking a gander at coffin choices for Scratch when she receives a message from an obscure number calling out to her. Before long, she starts getting a few such messages. Somebody had released her telephone number and MasterCard subtleties on the web. Then, at that point, Pia goes to meet Emma in her lodging. Emma is shocked, however glad to see Scratch's sister. Pia inquires as to whether anything that she is saying is valid. Rather than replying, Emma says that Scratch informed her regarding his and Pia's relationship. She realizes that they went through some stuff together as children that brought them closer than at any other time. Hearing this, Pia accepts that Emma was, truth be told, in touch with Scratch. She gives Emma her number for any crises and leaves. Around evening time, when everybody is at home, Sophie's mom, Ruby, and Scratch's mom, Andrea, get into a contention after Andrea affronts Sophie for cheating. The circumstance in the family is bleak. Simultaneously, Emma gets a call from her man to return to L.A. at the earliest opportunity, abandoning Scratch's loved ones. Emma goes nuts after the summon and drives from the lodging in her vehicle. She calls Pine in frenzy and leaves her a voice message. Before long, she understands that she is being followed. The vehicle turns, crashing her vehicle off the street. Afterward, Emma is in the medical clinic, conversing with Roshan about the experience. Roshan currently accepts that Scratch's homicide has something to do with Emma, and the individual who called her was likely the culprit. Pia shows up at the emergency clinic and pays attention to Emma's story. At the point when Pia and Roshan are distant from everyone else, Roshan illuminates her that they have found 3 other dating profiles that were all Scratch's. The example shows that he made profiles on various destinations and conversed with an alternate young lady on every one of them. At last, after they separated, he erased the profiles. Pyle lays all of this data on Emma, thinking she has the right to know it. She likewise uncovers that one of the young ladies Scratch conversed with is named Mandy Harrison, a craftsman situated in Leh. At the point when Emma gets back to L.A., she searches for Mandy's socials and requests that she meet. The two converse with one another and figure out that Scratch had said precisely the same thing to the two of them. However, Mandy had glanced through his falsehoods and said a final farewell to him, while Emma trusted him. Mandy had likewise made a composition of Scratch, which Emma purchases from her. She feels deceived by Scratch and consumes the work of art in disappointment. She likewise calls the columnist Ben Park and consents to do a meeting with him, as Scratch's better half beyond marriage. In the meeting, she proposes that Scratch mishandled her inwardly, so the things composed on the cards may very well be valid. Assuming the meeting is communicated, Scratch's standing will go downhill rapidly. Ben is thrilled to have the option to land such a significant meeting. His supervisor gets some information about different ladies who were engaged with Scratch on the web. Afterward, Ben gets a plan to visit the Brewer's home to enlighten them concerning Emma's meeting and maneuver Sophie toward providing a meeting to save Ben's standing. He acts like a conveyance man and goes into the house while recording with his telephone. Pia before long tracks down him and takes steps to call the police. He enlightens them concerning Emma's meeting and passes on his card on the floor for them to reach him. Afterward, Ben is at his home with his beau Cameron. He goes into a few dating applications to search for a greater amount of Scratch's profiles on the off chance that there are any. Cameron assists him with looking for the profiles. In the meantime, Pia calls Roshan home and educates him concerning Emma's meeting, just to be informed that the police can do nothing in light of the fact that Emma didn't violate the law by conversing with the columnists. As a matter of fact, since the culprit doesn't believe Emma should approach with her story, the meeting could assist them with getting him on the off chance that he takes an off-base action. Pia is enraged to realize that the police are regarding her siblings' standing as inadvertent blowback. That evening, Ben is on the web looking into remarks on Scratch's posts. One remark specifically grabs his eye. The remark is composed by a young lady named Jenny who moved towards Sophie during the dedication. She she battles individuals who shield Scratch, calling his allies washouts. The exceptionally following day, Ben goes to meet her and inquires as to whether she had a quarrel with Scratch. Jenny reluctantly advises him to converse with another colleague named Tara Wilson. Jenny had heard Scratch battling with Tara over something some time back. In the wake of conversing with Jenny, Ben goes to a cafe where Tara servers and gets some information about Ben. In any case, Tara excuses them. It isn't anything critical to say that it. At the point when Ben gets back to the workplace later, he is astonished to figure out that Sophie has consented to do a meeting with them before they broadcast. Thanks for watching this video. Subscribe this channel, like and comment this video, and share with your friends. I'll see you in the next video.